clinic imefunguliwa. Watu wapange laini, tumeweka bench hapo, tuendelee na chanjo. As we get into another beautiful discussion on the relationship clinic today. Over the last couple of weeks, we have been looking at personalities and how they play out in marriage, and we have been focusing on the Myers and Briggs personality type grouping. We talked about extroverts versus introverts in marriage and how that plays out. We've looked at sensing versus intuition and how that plays out. We've also looked at judging versus perceiving and how that plays out. Today we finish this series by looking at thinking versus feeling and how that plays out in marriage. What are the possible scenarios and issues that may arise, and how do you deal with them? I've got an amazing couple in studio with us this morning. Pastor Barnabas Achoki, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, Jemo?
I'm very fine. Karibu sana, it's good to have you.
Asante, asante.
Awesome. We also have Grace Achoki. Grace, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good to see you. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Yes, Master Achoki and Grace Achoki do a lot where marriage and relationships are concerned. And it's always a great joy and an honor to be able to hang out with you and to host you. Before we even dig into this, Pastor Barnabas, I'm just wondering, is it important for a couple to understand each other's personalities in a relationship? And if it is important, why is it important? Are you getting me, Pastor Barnabas?
I think
Your volume is low.
My volume is low.
Very low.
Very low. My technicians, my volume is very, very low. Let me try that again and see if you will get it. Pastor Barnabas, I'm asking, is it important for a couple to understand their personality and their spouse's personality in a relationship? And if it is important, why is it important?
Thank you. Thank you, Jemo. It is very, very, very important. I think in any successful relationship, self-awareness and other awareness is very, very important. Because if we don't know or understand our personality and our spouse's personality, we will be constantly fighting or wondering what's wrong with them. Whereas there's really nothing wrong with them. It's just that how they are, and that's how you are. So it is important for you to be aware of your personality, your tendencies. Why do you do things in a certain manner? What motivates your behavior? Why do you think or feel in a particular way? And why is your spouse the way that they are? And so if you don't understand that, then you'll constantly be at loggerheads. I think somebody wrote a very interesting book. He's saying, understanding why you misunderstand me. So you see, if you're not aware, then you're going to be perpetually fighting and trying to change the other person or wondering what's wrong with them. And so yes, it's important for you to know who you are and understand who you are, your personality, but also that of your spouse.
Okay, Grace, have the both of you ever had clashes in your marriage because your personalities are different, and how do you deal with that?
Oh, thank you, Pastor Jemo. Oh, yes, we have had numerous fights about our personalities, and just especially when we got married, those early years, I could not understand why he would think this way or why he would do certain things in a particular way, and that really, really, really caused a lot of conflict and a lot of fight. But over the years, as we became, can I say, more knowledgeable about our personalities, then, like Barnabas said, it called us to a place where we needed now to understand each other. Yeah. Because otherwise, we would have spent the rest of our lives trying to change the other person to be like you. So yes, it has caused a lot of fights, and how we have handled it is that we have tried to understand, coming to the other side, going to, jumping to the other side and seeing things from that perspective.
Okay. So when we talk about thinking versus feeling, Barnabas, what is this all about?
Thank you. When you talk about thinking and feeling, and I know you'll be talking about introverts and extroverts, you talked about intuition and sensing. talked about judging and perceiving. Now, when we talk about feeling and thinking, it's the differences. They describe how we make decisions. Basically, how we make decisions and how we form relationships. A thinking person makes decisions using logic, whereas a feeling person makes decisions thinking and taking into consideration what other people feel and their relationships and what they themselves feel.
Okay, so
it's in how we make decisions.
It is how we make decisions. I'm just wondering, how does this play out in a marriage relationship? Because these are like two different ends of a spectrum. One wants logic. They always want logic before they make decisions.
Yes.
The other one is not even near logic. How does this play out in marriage?
It brings a lot of conflict because the logic one, the thinker is always looking for facts and wanting to see, does this make logical sense? And that's why there's constant debate. The feeler is sensitive, is wanting to be felt, is thinking about their inner feeling and what's happening. And if they're making a decision, for example, to fire the house manager, you see, the thinker will be looking at the facts. This person has not done this, they have not done this. They see the other day they came late, the other day we gave them off, they came at this time. No, the logics behind that, the facts behind it. The feeler will be thinking, this lady, she has come from a poor background, we need to think about this, we need to consider this. Probably she came from my shags, what will my people think? You see, feel, so it becomes difficult, no? So you keep arguing and in constant conflict on the decision that is supposed to be made. Because again, Jemo, as a couple, you're going to be making decisions. And so one will be making decisions based on, is it logical? The other one is thinking about what other people think, how will this affect them as a person, their feelings, and so it's bound to bring conflict. It's bound to sometimes bring conflict even where decision making is concerned.
Okay, Grace, would I be right to think that, from my perspective, it seems then that a lot more men are logical, and women are more, the feeling type? Would I be right to think along those lines, Amma, that is stereotyping?
Well, let's just say that men come out as they're more logical than the women, and the women, it's more on the feeling side. Now, it's because of the intuition that the women, the stronger intuition that the women have.
Yes.
So that would make them really come out like they are more feelers than thinkers. But you will find in situations where the man is the feeler and the woman is the thinker. So it's not necessarily that most men are thinkers. It just depends on how God made you. And that's where we go wrong, because we want to be like the other person, or we want the other person to be like us. And instead of accepting and knowing who I am first and foremost, and then who am I married to, then seeing how do we come together and blend, how do we live together, how do we marry these two together and live in a way that we can not just survive, but go through.
I love that statement you've said there, Grace, because I think when we come to that place of understanding, this one is strong on this side, and this other one is strong on this side. Even how we do life, I don't have to struggle trying to do the things that I may not be strong in, because society may demand that the man is the one who should handle that kind of thing. If my wife is strong in that area because of their personality, I step aside and allow them to lead in that area. But sometimes that becomes a struggle because of what society has dictated.
Very true, very true. I'm a feeler. Barnabas is a thinker. And so we would fall in that place where, society expects me, of course, to just feel and follow through. But for him, it's more of the logic. But if we were opposites, I mean, if I was a thinker and he was a feeler, then maybe the society may look at me and think I'm so strong and nimekalia,
yes, exactly.
They would think that this woman is is just taking this man for a ride, or he's just, twisting the arm of this man throughout their marriage. But we have to accept how God created us. And if we don't accept that, we spend the rest of our lives fighting, and not just fighting for our marriage, but fighting for another person's marriage.
Yes.
Because you're forever thinking that that woman should not do this. Instead of concentrating on your own marriage, now you've gone to the neighbor's marriage, and you're trying to analyze what this woman should be doing and that woman should be doing. Which sometimes when it comes now, if you look at it, and if you spend a lot of time doing that, do you know that it will come back to your marriage, and you will begin to look at some tendencies in your wife or in your husband and think they're just like my neighbor. Yet, it was not like that in the beginning.
Yes. Wow. Pastor Barnabas, when we talk about the thinking type, because they're more concerned about logic and they want facts, can they come across as being insensitive? Sometimes you have a conversation with your spouse and they're thinking, you're not even feeling me. I've been there where my wife has shared something, and I'm quick to bring out the logic side and to come up with solutions. And she says, you're not hearing me. You're not feeling me. And I'm thinking, okay, decide. Do you want me to hear you or to feel you? If you're telling me I have a solution, this is what we do. And she says, no. And I'm thinking, what do you want? I don't know, Pastor, if you've experienced that, and how do you handle that?
Very, very true. Again, people like us who are thinkers tend to be very, especially when something, the truth, we can be very blunt.
Yes.
I know this is the right thing. So I say it as it is. And for my wife is feeling, oh, you are not sensitive, you didn't take into consideration my feelings. And that time you're wondering, what feelings? You see, if this is, this is what's supposed to be done. So you can come out as being very insensitive. And that's why this is very, very important. So that the feeler then, if it's a wife, then is able to understand that this person is being insensitive, just that they are factual and it makes sense to them in that sense. However, we also who are thinkers should not just stick on our side of the lane.
Yeah.
We need to then see, how do I be a little bit sensitive, present the truth or the facts with a bit of care and sensitivity. So again, learning, I think it's a growth process where you become aware of, I keep saying this, every personality has its strengths and its weaknesses. So, I think when I was going through this, I was taught that it stretches, strength and stretches. So the areas where you are stretched,
yes,
and you need to stretch yourself.
Yes.
But the area where it's a strength, it happens to you naturally. Again, we have to realize that when it comes to thinkers and feelers, it's a natural orientation. So my natural tendency will be to be logical. My natural tendency will be to present the facts and to come out as blunt. Whereas a feeler's natural tendencies will be to be sensitive, to think about other people's feelings. And so that's their natural way. Now, this other way is not natural. So I learn it. It's where I'm being stretched because I am in a relationship with this person. And as you're saying earlier, Jemo, you see, I don't know why sometimes we don't realize this, but that forms a strong team. You are a strong team. Because in making decisions, you need both the facts and sometimes taking into consideration what other people will feel.
I like that. Grace, Pastor Barnabas has talked about the feeler being more concerned sometimes even about what other people are feeling and what other people are thinking. And I'm wondering, could you find yourself in a situation whereby your concern for others is more than your concern for your spouse? Because now here we have to make decisions, but you're always thinking about so and so and what they will think and what they will say, how will they feel about this? And your spouse is thinking, you're not married to them, you're married to me. Is that a possibility, and how do you deal with that?
Thank you, Pastor Jemo. I'm laughing because flesh and blood has not revealed that to me. Because I thought about it this morning, and I was saying, could it be that sometimes I put others, being a feeler, I do put others before Barnabas?
Wow. Could
it be that sometimes I consider others, and you want to consider everybody else and leave out your spouse? It is a possibility, and a high possibility that you can consider everybody else, because for you as a feeler, you want everybody to be comfortable. It's
Yeah.
not just about one person. It's the crowd. Are they okay? Is someone hurting? How can I help them? How can I accommodate them? How can I incorporate them in what we are doing so that they are not left out there? You're trying to fill everybody in this car, but the thinker is saying we only have space for 4.
Yes.
But you're saying if we squeeze a bit, we can squeeze in, just put 2 more people, so we are 6. So everybody is happy and we are not driving away and the other 2 people look sad.
Yeah.
So it is true. You will sometimes consider the thing of, hey, you will consider all the other people and leave out your spouse. I remember there are times when we would come from church, and for me, I love to give lifts.
Yeah.
Somehow, right? Maybe that's why I used the car. So I would, my husband would think, today we are going out, so we want to be just the 2 of us as we drive home or drive to the venue.
Yes.
For me, I'm thinking between here and the venue, we can fill in. I mean, it's a 7-seater. Why should we just be the 2 of us? Tujaze kabisa, twende. There are people going our route. So then sometimes you doesn't you see some matatu, I say, you are mean, you're insensitive. You do not, where is God? Where is, and we would just be fighting and fighting and fighting. So it's true. I'm not considering my husband. I am looking at the other people and how they're feeling.
Wow, I'm just thinking about that scenario. Mmepatia watu lift and people are wondering, and the pastor leo haongei. Kumbe the pastor is boiling on the inside. He had planned how he wants to be alone with the wife in this car, to tell you sweet nothings as you go for lunch. And now you have a crowd of many witnesses that he had not planned for.
Let me add something. And that's why now for the thinker, you also need to come to the feeler side.
Okay.
So that you're also considering their feelings and not just, find out why. Again, we go back to understanding why do they want these people to come in.
Yeah.
So that you're not just sticking on your lane and saying it is this and this alone. So we need to cross sometimes to the other person's side and find out why are they doing this and how can we work together.
Okay. Now, shortly, we'll talk about confrontation. Because this is about making decisions. Do feelers fear confrontation, and how does that affect the marriage relationship? We'll look at that shortly. If you have any questions for us today, 20316 is the SMS line, WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. Maybe you can identify with some of the things we are talking about because you have experienced them in your relationship. Be a part of this conversation. I have a message from my good friend, Pastor Bernard. You are tuned in today. You say, great conversation on my 15th wedding anniversary. Reverend Bernard Warui, happy anniversary to you and your wife. Thank you for always being a good supporter of this program. We appreciate you. So back to our conversation. Grace, I was asking earlier about the whole process of decision making, and because this person who is a feeling person, they consider people, they look at people's feelings and all that. Could it be that they also avoid conflict? And if yes, how does that affect a marriage relationship?
They will, thank you, they will avoid conflict because they don't want, they don't want to ruffle the feathers. Remember, they want to be accommodative. Remember, they want to be in a place where they want to include everybody and have everybody in that wagon. So when something disrupts that, then they will either just coil in and stand back and look at things and just allow now the other person to make the decision. So many times when they step back and they are quiet, they will let go. They will give in. But unfortunately, that's not a win-win situation. It's a win-lose situation because they'll not voice. They feel they're not being understood. So they'll not fight it out, but rather just step back and have a win-lose situation.
Okay.
So in a marriage, that can be dangerous because then the thinker will override in most of the decision. And the feeler will step back, or they will always feel that they have lost.
Could this build start building resentment in them that may one day explode?
It is like that Coke bottle that you're shaking.
Yes.
And when you just remove the cork, it's the top, the bottle top, then it just spills everywhere. So it is true that it keeps on building up. If you're not careful, it will build up, and as it builds up, one day it will just erupt. But it's because they don't want to fight. They want peace. They are peacekeepers. And yet we are called to be peacemakers, not just peacekeepers. So they want to keep peace, and they want everybody just to feel good and feel safe. Actually, the word is safe. They want everybody to feel safe and to be happy.
Wow. Mr. Barnabas, what are some other possible scenarios that could take place in this kind of a relationship where you have a thinker and a feeler?
Yeah, I think as Grace is saying, and as you've said earlier, the feeler also, you see, they want harmony. So conflict causes more stress to them. And these people normally, because of their desire to have harmony and have harmony restored. So when harmony is distorted by a confrontation or a conflict, they are very quick to apologize. They are very quick to say, I'm so sorry. But they also feel guilty for upsetting their spouses, and feel bad about themselves, and sometimes can really beat themselves up. And so the tendency is to want to have that harmony restored. Thinkers, on the other hand, will be very blunt. Sometimes may not be sensitive to the feelings of the other person, and so in the process may hurt the other person. But also in another thing is in conflict resolution, feelers may not resolve conflicts well because they were quick to apologize and want to move on. So sometimes they build resentment in that way. But thinkers also, because they don't go into their own feelings, they don't take time to they themselves internalize whatever is happening, can also pick up a resentment, because for them it's a matter of right or wrong. Like, I must say right, and this is the fact, because it's factual, and does it make sense? And so that is bound to also make a problem. And now, when they are calling for a timeout, especially when things are hot and there's a timeout, the feeler is the one who will struggle with that, because for them, they want this thing to be resolved now, and for harmony to be quickly restored. But for the thinker, they are still looking at the factual thing, and does it make sense? And so for them, a timeout is good for them, because they want to go ahead and now think logically and make sense of what has happened. Wow. I think also in communication, then, you see, if you're communicating, if you're a feeler, you're communicating to your spouse who is a thinker, then you have to be logical with them, even as you bring your feeling, but do it in a logical way, so that they can be able to then see sense and understand you better. Now, for the thinker, on the other hand, is to take into consideration the feelings of the feeler, and to be a bit sensitive to what the feeler is feeling in that sense.
Do thinkers get uncomfortable with emotions? I don't know if you've ever been there, where your spouse is so emotional and you're thinking, work our emotions aside, let's just look at the facts. It's like you feel like they're trying to manipulate you with their emotions. Sasa unalia nini? Able to fikirie tu. Let's just put the facts on the table and sort this out. So I'm just wondering, are thinkers afraid of emotions because they don't know how to deal with it?
I don't think it's because they are afraid to deal with it.
Yeah.
For them, does it make sense?
Oh.
So in places where they are seeing this is not logical.
Yeah.
Why does that make you cry?
Yeah.
So they then may appear that way, but it's not that they are afraid of the emotions. It's not that they are not in there, because they are reasoning it out and wondering, how could that make you cry? Why is that making you be this way? And so in that sense, they may look like they are belittling you. In that sense, they may look like they are not sensitive enough, because for them they are still pushing. They're still pushing for the answer, pushing for you to see it the way they are seeing it, or for it to make sense to them in a logical manner.
Grace, you want to add anything to that?
Yes, I do. They may not connect so much with their emotions at that particular time, but again, when now the feeler, for the feeler, if the emotions really come up, and they begin to cry, and maybe they're beginning to quote act up, what the thinker will do at a certain point, maybe he'll just shut down and just put a wall. Now, that will make the feeler kind of come to that space where he or she is seeing that this person is not concerned about me.
Yeah.
They are not, this is in a marriage relationship, or they don't care about me, or they don't even love me. Because if they did, then they would have considered what I am saying.
Yeah.
But for the feeler, what you need to do is remove yourself out of the situation, the person, so that we are dealing with it. It's not about love. It's not about the care. It's about the situation.
Yeah.
It's just not making. It's not logical. So it's not making sense to this person. So remove the emotions and remove yourself out of this situation and tackle that situation. So that's what the feeler needs to do.
Okay.
So, but for the man or for the woman who is a thinker, you need to still come back and now try and see what if this person is displaying this emotion, then how can I now help them
Yes.
and come to their side?
Okay. A couple of comments coming in. This one says, hi, Pastor Jemo. In as much as logic might seem superior, we are social beings and we live in communities. Feelers have a very strong social capital as they have a lot of the soft skills. They are the people who will always show up for others, hata kama ni kuoshea jirani vyombo, just because they noticed that they looked tired. At the end of the day, it's a perfect duo, as the thinker might solve most straightforward issues, but it shall take the feeler to be able to navigate. Another comment here from Wangoi says, always been the feeler personality attracted to the thinker. Thankful for this conversation, understanding the difference and realizing I'm just who I am, and that doesn't necessarily take away from the other person. A clear knowledge of who you are and who your partner is important. Been there a week now, wondering, am I broken? And always make this difficult for everyone. Also, yes, it makes it hard to speak up. You feel like you've been misunderstood. Asanteni sana. Because this is about decision making, Pastor Barnabas, I'm wondering, who among the two could tend to procrastinate more? Is it the thinker or is it the feeler?
It is the thinker. It is the thinker because he has to look at the pros, he has to look at the cons. In fact, it's interesting you asking me this because a couple of days ago, I was talking to a couple and the guy was telling me, my wife feels I am slow.
Yeah.
But see, me, I have to process something. I have to think through something. And I have to weigh the pros and the cons. And by the time I'm making a decision, I must have all my facts together.
Yes.
And so it may look, because he has to process. A feeler may just go at the spur of the moment because of what this person thinking and how will this person feel and what they're feeling at the moment and jump into making a decision. And I think it's important for us to realize that both are needed. I like what one of the listeners has said, because sometimes we tend to think that we don't need this. In fact, it's amazing that even in the corporate sector today, the feeling is now being brought into place because decision making sometimes may be what we say going by the gut feeling. So sometimes it's not the logical per se. It is going just by that gut feeling. And I think it's very, very difficult. I like giving this example. If you read the Bible, Abraham and Sarah, good couple. So one time Sarah says, but I'm not able to get a child. You house help, you sleep with my house help, you'll get a child. And Abraham does what Sarah said. That's what Sarah is feeling. And later on, that's a bad decision, maybe, because that child becomes a problem. Yes. But now, a few chapters later, Sarah wakes up and tells Abraham, this woman and the child must go. And Abraham is struggling, for Abraham, that is his blood, that is his seed. For Sarah, she has nothing to do there. But as Abraham is struggling, God comes and tells Abraham, do what your wife Sarah has told you to do. So at that time, the feeling, the decision that Sarah has made is the right decision. So sometimes it's just to know, you need wisdom to know, do we go by the thinking or the feeling part of it? Okay. But yes, the thinkers will tend to procrastinate or take longer because they need to have their facts right, weigh the pros and cons before making a decision.
Wow. Somebody's asking, whether you can be both a feeler and a thinker. We'll get to that shortly. If you have any questions for us, you have like 10 minutes to ask your questions. Send them in now. 20316 SMS line, WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. And I've got two questions. One question has come like 4 times. We'll finish with that one. But there's this one. Pastor Barnabas, I want to direct this one to you. This one is coming in from Joe. Joe is asking, I'm just wondering, as a man, if you are a feeler, does that make you seem weak? Because I find people looking down on me at times, and so I'm just wondering, is it possible for me to switch to look like a thinker?
I feel you, George. I think this is what Grace was saying earlier. We've been socialized in a particular way, but nothing wrong with that. Just like for the lady who is a thinker, nothing wrong. She shouldn't feel any less of a woman. Just like for you, George, you shouldn't feel any less of a man. It's just your natural orientation, and nothing wrong with that. I guess your wife should be a thinker. So you see, that brings the balance as you make decisions and move along in your marriage.
Listen to this one. This one is very encouraging. It says,
"Thank you." On that one,
sorry. Let me read this comment first. It says, "Thank you for this discussion. I was thinking of quitting our relationship because I thought we are not compatible. I'm a feeler. He is a thinker. At times, I felt down because he needs logic in every discussion, and in the case of misunderstanding, he doesn't let go until he takes days thinking of the same. I'm learning a lot through this conversation." So, Grace, the other question that's come like 5 times is the question of whether you can be both. One person is asking, can I be both? Another person is saying, what about people who tend to change depending on the situation? There are situations you're a thinker, there are situations you're a feeler. And another one is thinking, how do I navigate, because it seems like I have both? So how would you answer that, Grace?
Okay. The first thing that we need to put on the table, and we have to come to this agreement, none is superior than the other.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that feelers are more superior or thinkers are more superior. No. That is what God has given you. It's your God-given nature, and none is superior than the other. The second one, of course, is to accept that this is who I am, and this is who my spouse is.
Yes.
So we can, but we can work together. So, what else did you ask? Sorry, there's one question that you asked that
can you be both? And what about people who change depending on the situation?
Can you be both? You can have both tendencies. It's just that one is predominantly, or one is predominant over, the other. So if it doesn't mean that because I am a feeler, I can't come to situations where I'm a thinker.
Yeah.
No, it is not like the way you write on the cement that is drying, and so it dries out with that feeler, and forever it will be feeler. No, it's the thing of I'm a feeler, but there are situations. Now, to answer your second question, there are situations where I can be more of a thinker in this, and my spouse can be now the opposite. So yes, you can have both tendencies, but one is predominant.
Okay.
One stands out more than the other.
Very, very true.
I think Jemo is also to look at it as, and this is where even with personalities, people make a mistake. It's never two abstract things. It's a continuum. I think the best example is looking at a number like that, where you see, remember there used to be the negative side and the positive side.
Yeah.
So if you're a feeler, maybe you start moving towards the positive side, increasing that side, or if you're a thinker, maybe moving towards the negative side. So some people will be more nearer to the zero. So that's why they may feel that they like both. But that's where they are. But some people will be so much on one extreme and another on another extreme. So that's why maybe somebody may feel, and I was asking that question, can you be both? And so there's some people who are bordering on those things. But also, secondly, Jemo, is maybe what people perceive you to be. Because sometimes people are perceived in a particular way, and especially as women, people have generally said you are feelers. So you tend to think that you're a feeler, whereas you could be a thinker. But because of what people have said and expect of you, you start struggling on this other side.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's important for all of us, JMO, to sometimes do these assessments. Because before this, I also thought I was a feeler until I did the assessment and I realized actually I'm a thinker.
Yeah.
yes, and that surprised me. So it's just good to sit down with an expert and also do these assessments so that they can help you fully understand yourself and your spouse.
Awesome. Barnabas and Grace, always a blessing to have you. We gain a lot from your wisdom, your experience, and your knowledge. So keep helping marriages, and may the Lord bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
this is a good discussion.
Yes. The fact that two people have said they were thinking of quitting on their relationship, but because of this discussion, they are rethinking. For me, that's a plus.
Yes.
We have done and accomplished what we needed to do today. My time is up for the clinic. Clinic inafungwa. Chanjo ya leo imeisha. Tungoje next dose next week. Have yourselves a great day.
This and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.